Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, grasshoppers. There is a reason why I do not open my tournament until about 10 minutes before the round. Let's send a notification to the other group just to make sure that they are okay with it. Let's just see here. Teams, Dojo. Remaining until 4:18 on the 22nd. Tomorrow is the 21st. Alright, let's risk it. Risk it like a biscuit. Because I'm not able to participate, as it turns out, I forgot that I had registered well in advance, ironically, for a tournament that was a Super Blitz Swiss. Because of the time control, I did not really register that it was a Swiss. So as a result, I forfeited my first game. I'm willing to wager that I wasn't the only one though. There were 424 participants in this prize money Swiss. Should never have entered in advance. And I was thinking that I was going to play. Yet, so many players did not play. Of the 0 pointers, am I the only one who forfeited? No. Mr. Rafael Fantastico also did not show up. It was so easy to forget that I was registered, and now as a result, I am unable to play in my own Swiss. And rightfully so. I should not have missed my Swiss game. There are 2 people that did the same thing. 3 people. Four people. 5 people. 6 people. 7 people. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Because they had this entry and they did not open it shortly before the tournament began, all of these people, more than a dozen, including myself, did not play their first round Swiss. Starting soon, at least we're listed on the Swiss page. C'est la vie. Well, hopefully we get some entrants, and if we don't get any entrants, then we will have a simul. We will have a simul promoting, and we do need 5 gifted subs. We do need 5 gifted community subs. Let's see whom we can get here. 5 gifted community subs. Let's see who we'll get. If I can find the gift a sub page. As we've met our goals. C'est la vie.
Governor Julio. Thanks for subscribing.
All right.
Tukilo. Thanks for subscribing. Kayon Chess.
Ian
Thanks
Chess.
for subscribing. Crescent.
Excellent.
Thanks for subscribing. It's Initiative. Thanks for subscribing.
Crescentine. Awesome. I'm happy that she got one as well. Now we have Stream Elements and Moobot doing exactly the same thing. I'm not entirely sure which is which, but Key and Chess, It's Initiative, Crescentine. This stream is sponsored by Chess Informant. Chess Informant 160 is the latest edition. Now, what's going on with our chat box? Our chat box on screen does not seem to be working. Crazy. C'est la vie. 5 viewers on Twitter? Hard to believe. Hard to believe. Stefano, Ariel Zamora. Make this go away. There we go. And then hopefully we'll be commenting on more than one game in just a moment. What is going on today? Everybody is suffering from the rest day from the U.S. Championship. Were we watching the coverage? Yes, we were. Carissa Yip scored her first eight games, so she is 8-0. Alright, well, hopefully Ariel Zamora is here. Oh no! What's this? Let's message him. So this is the reason why I do not open the event until about 25 to 30 minutes before the event begins. Because people cannot forget that they registered. So I usually wait until about 20 minutes before the round, around the time that I send the notification to all of the viewers. And in that manner, people will remember that they are in the event. I should have realized that it was a Swiss. I don't like to open up our events. Alright, so what was this really doing? Bishop to g5? Queen c7. So far there's no danger here. Probably knight on b to d7. Maybe that was a reasonable option as well. How about just to e3? e3 is sometimes thought to be better because this pawn could be considered backward on the open file. It's not that easy to push this pawn forward. But he does want the option of being able to discover on the queen, except for the small detail that it's not a queen that he's discovering on. So I'm not entirely sure the benefit of e4. Knight f6. e5, knight to d5. Yeah, it seems reasonable. But knight f6 can calmly be met by bishop takes c4. So we will do commentary on our own stream, and we will prepare to do an Informant 160 instructional YouTube video and or simul if we have the opportunity. I don't know if this was really necessary. We can't play b5 because a takes b5 unleashes on the queen. Black has gotten castled. Black has gotten his queen safe, just in case there's any funny business. Certainly he wants to play c5 as a pawn break, or with the help of knight on b to d7, e5 as a pawn break. Philidor would call pawn breaks the soul of chess. Pawn breaks are the soul of chess. White has a classical center. Black has a very small center. Not even in a complete center. He would have a small center if he had two center pawns, but instead Black needs to orchestrate and organize some form of pawn break. Now that the queen is directly opposite the rook, we know that there are some shenanigans happening. This might prevent e5 as a pawn break, because bishop takes f7 will be check. I don't know how black is going to break out of his position. He needs to improve his light squared bishop. This is the bishop that's not doing anything on c8. b6, bishop to b7, knight on b to d7, c5, or e5, d5. I don't know if d5 was needed just yet. This may be a little bit early. I don't think it's going to win a pawn, but let's take a look. No, especially not after that. And now I think white needs to recapture with the rook in order to keep the c-pawn pinned, in order to avoid losing a pawn on d5. Although he did have bishop takes and queen to d4, if needed. Uh-oh. Herein lies the tale. So this bishop at least is protected, so we have time to play d takes c6. At least. And at the very least. We have time to play d takes c6. Everything seems to be protected. Queen takes is off the cards, so knight takes must be played. Bishop to c6 puts pressure on this knight, for what it's worth. There is no way of discovering, because the queen can recapture on f7. Knight to g5, perhaps? That's interesting. Rook to d8. Bishop f5. Candidate moves for black. Knight to b4. Nope. Bishop f5 was chosen. It's almost always best to bring out the pieces in the order in which they are valued. We almost always start with a pawn. We follow it up with knights, bishops. Getting castled allows the rooks to come to the center. And at long last, the queen. Well, that was interesting. I'm not sure if it was worth this pawn. Is it worth the pawn? He was considering bishop to f4, perhaps? So as a result, probably bishop to b3 was more accurate the previous move. Rook to a4, b5. Rook to a4 on knight to b6. Rook takes a5 was probably possible. Rook takes, bishop takes, and he got his pawn back. So rook to a3 was a very reasonable option of getting the queen, getting the pawn back. However, on rook to a3, black did have the move b5. And if white should play b3, all the standard rules apply, it seems like. So yeah, rook to a3. And he chose rook to f4, gaining time. There is no knight to e5, unfortunately. So I'm not entirely sure what he's going to do in this position. Knight g5, knight e4. What is Stefano really going to do here against Ariel Zamora? Knight to g5, knight e4 has been elected. Knight to d5. Bishop takes d5. Watch out for the sneaky bishop in the corner. Let's remove our background here. I was just experimenting with removing the background. We still don't seem to have a chat box. Interesting. Singapore. Do we not have chat enabled today? That is a good question. Are we really going to go to this square? Why didn't we activate our rook? He now has the option of going to e5 in this position. He might also try to discover upon his opponent in a different way. Well, the rook's tied down to defending f7. It's being attacked 1, 2, 3, 4 times. And it's only defended by the bishop, pawn, and rook. So right here, knight takes f7, bishop takes f7, rook takes f7, rook takes f7, queen takes f7. But knight to e5 creates a little bit of an issue. I might have gone for the more aggressive defending rather than blocking. He chose to block. And now he's getting his pawn back. With 4 attackers and 4 defenders. Ariel Zamora is under a considerable amount of pressure on the defense, though. Rook takes f6, knight e5. As advertised. As advertised. So we have queen to h4, threatening rook takes g6. And this f-pawn cannot recapture, so therefore queen to h7 will be made. So queen h4 does threaten checkmate. Black can try to defend with. He didn't see it. And he got checkmated. Wow. Let's see if it happens in reality here. If Stefano is watching the stream, that's the end of the world as we know it, folks. We've doubled in size, so we're going to get a couple more games. And Control C. Control V. We'll put my story in the chat here. I thought it was going into both chats. but I was wrong. And let's reload. Sometimes you might not see the game that you're playing in. So Pillsbury is in action. A4, a reasonable move against A6. This is actually quite a good move, recommended by the Open Sicilian Modernized. However, this was not an Open Sicilian, mind you. I think knight to d4 could have been a good move prior to bishop h6. And in that manner, after bishop h6, bishop takes h6, queen takes h6, knight takes c2 would have been check. So what can be done here? A small center Sicilian? I don't believe that knight is so well placed on f6. I believe that we would want to stop this ongoing onslaught with g4 with f5, the way I learned it when I was young. It was one of the most beautiful pawn structure configurations I had ever seen. Here, however, black is getting pushed around. And Pillsbury is overwhelming Stefano. Let's reset our follower goal while we're at it on the main page. And 2 weeks from today would be 11:04. So this bishop has suddenly become a good bishop. All that's required is a pawn break. We're going to slowly build up. Now it's awkward that we have our king on this square. I think this was a little bit misplaced earlier. Softening up for some weaknesses? I don't know. Is he trying to get another hook? But h6 isn't a true hook without a knight on f6 to bother. All the weaknesses in white's position seem to be covered. How to activate black's pieces. Okay, expanding on the queen side. It's a very reasonable option. A seemingly terrific and reasonable option. Wow, really stepping up to the task, eh? Is truly what we want? B takes a4, B takes a4, rook to b8. With the idea of rook to b4. Skewering across. Perfectly reasonable. Ah, no, he's going for even more. D takes c4, B takes c4, B takes c4, and the knight is unseated. First, a word from our sponsor, but this creates counterplay. Now there's an opportunity for some counterplay. Maybe taking on d3. Or b3. Yes. Either way, this would have worked. That's why I like the pawn on d3 a little bit better, because it would be guarded by the rook, and it could be pushed through a little bit more rapidly. So this pawn on d3 is now being attacked. So maybe he chose correctly, going after the proper weakness. Stefano, I'm rooting for you. Pillsbury is a tough customer. Queen takes c4. Pinovich. Knight to c2. Okay. Knight to d3 or queen to c4. Queen to a3. Knight to c2 does not threaten queen to f2 check yet, but it could be annoying. Queen to a3 or queen to c4, but queen to c4 might be met by bishop f1, queen to c3. But in general, this is also going to be met by queen to b1. And now what? How now? Brown cow. So we're down a pawn with 5 to 4 on the king side, but Stefano has some active play. I don't think we have much of a choice but to take twice here. Or at least take once. f6 check looks extremely annoying. But the queen couldn't take on f5 because ouch. That will leave a mark. He didn't have to do that. He really didn't. So everyone, hang in there. We can afford no pauses to make this to 3 rounds. Everyone can register for this tournament, this dojo event. Let's see if I can refresh this browser setting for this. Shut down source when not visible. Let's try it again. Chat box is still not attached on the screen. Perhaps this is for the best. Maybe if we click out and come back. Testing, testing, testing. Natural moves lead to natural disasters. Fascinating. So we will try a different screen. Testing, testing, testing. Dark Blade. Dojo. Ariel Zamora versus Pillsbury. Are we learning something here? Yeah, we're learning that our chat box is effed. Effed, I tell you. I'd play the French every single time if I knew my opponent were playing the exchange variation. In this position, I might have considered bishop to d4 in order to ruin his pawn structure. In a heartbeat. Would bishop to d4 have worked? Bishop takes h7, king takes h7, queen takes d4? Maybe not. Interesting. I would certainly exchange there. Putting maximum pressure on this pawn, but it can move forward. It can move forward twice, in fact. The queen cannot take because the bishop takes h2 check. Thank you very much. Never defend, never give up, never surrender. It's really, really not worth it. As it turns out. If I delete the chat box and try again. I am curious as to whether the chat box is actually working, but so Pillsbury showed his weakness a little bit here by defending instead of playing the move d4. After all, the queen can't take because of the discovery. Unfortunately now, as opposed to before when the e4 square was under control by a bishop on f5, the knight now can move to e4. And that looks like a bother, but anything has to be better than where our bishop is now. Our bishop now is, well, not so great. So is he going to get the pin with the help of this pawn push? Is Ariel Zamora going to help him out? Good question. Interesting. Unfortunate. I feel like we are overworked. He takes twice on e8. And the bishop cannot block because he's down a rook. But there is a back rank weakness. Oh my gosh. Ariel Zamora is now skewering. But the skewer is not a real skewer, by the way. For the same reasons that the back rank mate still exists. He's not really threatening. It was probably best just to play A takes B4. Yeah, we're going to tighten it up a little bit with this backdrop. Very cinematic today. So h3 is this bishop being attacked. Yes, it is. So h3, he actually has a chance to get his piece back now. That's crazy. Unbelievable. For those of you who have not yet joined the dojo, chat box is definitely on the fritz. We'll give it another shot in a minute as far as refreshing our exercises go. So he's going to try for, believe it or not, rook e1 check. Queen takes d5, rook e1 check, rook takes e1, bishop h2 check. And he has fallen for it. We have removed the defender of the queen on d5. And now bishop h2 check is going to win the queen for a bishop and a rook. And is it going to be enough? We have an outside pass pawn. Wow. Pillsbury is tactically sharp. Seeing those things quickly, sometimes key. Queen to c6 forks. Queen to c4 forks the bishop and the pawn on c2. There's no way to avoid it, it looks like. Well, maybe he can just play rook to c8. Bum, 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 ba da 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 dum, bum, 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 bum. Would have been best to get that pawn moving. as fast as humanly possible. There's a fork. At least he's picking up possibly a pawn on f7 with the idea of bishop to e5. But it looks as though he has to move his pawn first. And this is not going to be good. So now, bishop to e5 is still a threat. And if he gets to anchor it with f4, it's going to be even better. So king f5, f4. All we need now after that is to get the rook to a1 and barnacle so that we create a fortress. F4. Don't even think about it. Don't even think about this pawn. You can always take this pawn later. Maybe you need to think about it because g5 does look like a very annoying move that will expose our king and create more weaknesses. Rook f7 check. Queen takes f7. Ruling that one out. And he loses his rook on g4 check. He comes dangerously close to losing his rook because we have check, check, and check picking up this rook. So the rook's already being threatened. It looks as though we might need to relocate ourselves behind this pawn as fast as we possibly can. So after rook to c7, queen to e2 check, king moves. To f3, then rook to c3 check, and maybe, just maybe, he gets away with this. King f2. No! You missed your chance to stop the mating net. Oh, he's going for the, or he was going for the fork. Not realizing that he's losing all of his material, and Pillsbury will be left with outside passed pawns 4 files apart. It's unfortunate. Is there another game still going? Nope. Apparently not. We are in the Rapid and Classical Dojo here. Well, there is another game going. Wait just one moment. Let's check on this game. This game looks more exciting than the last. Not after that move, unfortunately. It looks as though it's all not the Carissa Yip show. And now h3 and they promote with check. Can't even cheat and win. If it were an f-pawn, he would have a microscopic chance if only his a-pawn were not on the board. Or was it a c-pawn? I apologize. Only the... I can't remember which side was up. Let's see what our lesson schedule is for right after the lesson. 12 p.m. Central Time. I guess I left something out of our Tuesday Team 9-Ball League email. All right, and back to the tournament. Hopefully we have one more round to go. We are in the middle of round 4, so we made it to a round 4 thanks to a 5th player joining. I can't stress enough that you must play all levels of opponents whenever you get a chance to play. Absolutely must get in the mix. It doesn't matter who you play, it only matters that you play, and that you study, and that you analyze your games, and that you apply yourself. You have to sharpen the knife of your playing ability by getting in the mix and doing what you have to do. There is only one way that you can become a better player, and that is by testing yourself against the best possible opponents at all times. You cannot shirk yourself away from competition. You must be in it to win it. It looks quite good, actually. I like it. I like what's happening here. Where is everybody? I know that one of my students who plays every weekend is not here because he's playing over the board chess. Crossing my fingers for him. Let's check on the rating report from yesterday. Let's see how bad it was. It's good to have a little bit of a reality check every now and then. Bum 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 ba da da da. Bum 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 ba da da da. I like this soundtrack. We're gonna use this more often. I feel like we are creating our own James Bond bit here. Let's watch Pillsbury up close. 2 bishops for a rook. Pillsbury again has the better of it. He can ever move that rook off of f6. It looks pretty bleak. Pretty dire, in fact. I have to push back a lesson this afternoon. Ouch. Ouch, ouch, ouch. Ouch. Ouch, ouch. Oh, this is a check, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, I think he had bishop h7 check, king takes, f8 equals knight, check, takes, rook takes, and bishop takes, had he played for it. And we couldn't escape in this particular direction because of the queen checking on the f file. He really missed a chance there for some really cool glory. I can't believe he missed this opportunity. This is such a beautiful opportunity to literally take everything that the opponent does. What a terrible chance. Check, and if he walks out that way, it's going to be mate. No matter where the king goes. Very sad that he missed that creative opportunity. This queen is way too close. That's much better. But let's go back in time. All we had to do here was walk our king in. The quadrant of doom had been completed. We could just walk our king forward. So, for example, in this particular instance, let's go back in time. Let's see what he missed. For example, that was also not necessary. All we have to do is walk closer, but okay. And walk closer. We already have an artificial quadrant of doom created. What is he going to do? Already had an artificial quadrant of doom. He could have been 6 moves faster. And we have round number 5? What? Thought we already had round 5. The Pillsbury now. About to demonstrate a fork. Oh, come on. We could have forked. No? I guess not. Fine. Pillsbury's more on the ball than I thought he was. But still, ladies and gentlemen, I guess he's going for better play than I would normally make. So I'm not one to say anything, unfortunately. Ouch. Is that really necessary? I believe he always had f5 if he needed it. So playing knight to c4, bishop to d2, f5 was probably okay. It wasn't necessary to defend in that particular instance. T-back is working pretty well in this particular instance, I have to admit. Indeed. Still improving his worst place pieces. Absolutely on target. This may be the best opponent. This 1188 may be the best opponent that he has faced. Still very bummed that the chat box is not working. C'est la vie. And by not playing, I seem to have 12 viewers. Crazy. Maybe nobody wants to see me play. Maybe that's it. Ouch! Saruda. 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 Stefano, you are going to need a lot more help in this position than you've got. Rook to g3, queen takes d1. Looks like we have to play queen to e4 check to try to avoid the exchange of queens, but after queen f3, queen c2, king h3, queen takes b2, rook takes g7 check. Nope, can't do it. Not rook takes g7 check. Oh yes, if the queen's on b2, we can. Unfortunately, we run into rook takes g7 check, king to h8, rook takes h7 check, and after queen h5 check, queen g5 check, queen to g7, it would have been mate. So queen f3 was the right way to go about it. Now black has rook to g6. This is going to leave a mark. Ouch! He can't block. What was he doing? And now rook to e8 check. Wow. Ouch, ouch, ouch. No, Saruda. Sarudra. Sorry, Sarudra. No, you needed the rook to come in with check. You needed yet another attacker. So he still has queen f5 check, king d2, bishop e3 check as a bid to get the rook in the game. Oh no, he's going for that. Silly me. He just went for the simple way. And now Stefano brings the rook to e8 and we're all in trouble. Sarudra. Yes. And that's the end of it, folks. Pillsbury cruising to victory. We do have time for a simul. We do have absolutely time for a simul, but I would like to get the chat working. That would be nice. So, if we're going to get the chat working, I need to test a few things. Congrats to Pillsbury on a fine event, despite the low turnout. Probably one of the lowest turnouts. When I'm playing, usually the turnout is better, but everyone may be working on the possibility of me playing. And if I'm not playing, it's unfortunate. So we had 5 gifted subs today, thanks to our follower count goal being hit. Crescentine, a very dear friend and a streamer. I don't know if I can give her a shout out, but let's just see if I can. Key Chess. Absolutely. Key Chess. I'll give them the shout out here in the chat, and hopefully it appears. Cress is best. Cress may be streaming today. I don't know how our connection is lately. Have a great day. Thank you, everyone.